Welcome back to the show, How XRP Becomes Money. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and DigPerspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, $3.34 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is off 6.2% going into the weekend. And, you know, the weekends aren't usually strong. So let's see what happens. I may be buying a bag, not financial advice. We'll see how it shakes out here. But nonetheless, 96,200 plus for Bitcoin as it's taking a beating right now, like the rest of the market. Ethereum 3,100. XRP's 228 at the number 4 spot. We're off 7.7 on the 24. And just for a little context here and perspective, Ethereum's off 7% on the 24. Bitcoin's off 5.9 on the 24. We're up 4.2 on the 7-day, but the rest of the market is off. We will look at the range of price, still ranging between 225 and 250. We will keep an eye on it. Let's take a look at this. Don't mess around. Get your XRP Las Vegas ticket for XRP Las Vegas 2026, April 30th, May 1st. It's going to make a great Christmas gift for anybody out there. You want a holiday coming? Get the gift of a lifetime for your spouse. This is it. Put this ticket right here on the list. Ripple premier sponsor, Paul Barron Media Desk, and so much more that you have not seen yet. I'm telling you, this is going to be the best conference year yet to date. Let's start right here. This is a different clip from an interview from digital asset investor and Jim Bazzani from Caleb and Brown. I can confirm Caleb and Brown is bankruptcy remote. So that means that the person out here who's been saying that they are not and claiming that your assets are not safe if they were to go bankrupt is a liar. And I happen to know that he's a fraud too. So be very careful of the people that are saying these things, because these people live in glass houses and they shouldn't throw stones. So this is a clip right here from Jim Bazzani and Caleb and Brown, who are absolutely amazing and provide stellar service.
I can confirm that Caleb Brown is bankruptcy remote. We've always been that way. And in terms of as clients and how it actually works operationally, internally, and even just through our terms of business, if you're a client of Caleb Brown, we hold those assets on trust, but we're not the beneficial owner of those assets. As a client, you are the beneficial owner. So if something was to happen to Caleb Brown tomorrow, you mentioned bankruptcy. We've just been acquired by, a really large institution that wouldn't do so if our cash flow and our balance sheet wasn't at a really great level. But let's just say in the hypothetical world that something was to happen to Caleb Brown, those client assets do not form part of our company assets. So if we were to go bankrupt and a creditor process takes into effect, those assets do not form part of our company assets and wouldn't form part of that creditor process. The first thing that we would legally be required to do as a business is return client assets to those clients. So I want to stress that because I know that a lot of things are being said online, but as a client, you are the owner of those assets, which isn't the case necessarily if you hold them on exchanges. And as I've had personally in the past, I've held assets on FTX and had to go through a creditor claim process, the same as Celsius back in the day. So that's different. We're a crypto brokerage, and that is different in the sense of how we look after client assets and the ownership structure of those assets.
There you have it right there, directly from Caleb and Brown, ladies and gentlemen. Don't believe the liar out here, because whoever that guy is a liar that's been saying the opposite of it. And not only is he a liar, he's also a fraud. And I know it for a fact. And he does too. And you should ask that liar about it. That's what you should do. Because I'm sick and tired of hearing this guy lie without being called out. So we're going to start calling it out when we see it. That's how we do it here at this channel. Keep a lookout for it. And I hope you start calling it out too. Let's get a look at this. This is Paul Atkins, the SEC chair, laying down where we're going here.
I've asked the commission staff to prepare recommendations for the commission to consider that would allow tokens tied to an investment contract to trade on non-SEC regulated platforms, whether registered at the CFTC or through a state regulatory regime. I believe that most tokens trading today are not themselves secure. A token is no more a security because it was once part of an investment contract transaction than a golf course is a security because it used to be part of a citrus grove investment scheme.
There it is right there. And that's your new SEC chair. We love him. Yes, indeedy. You're going to put him on the Christmas card list. You can bet on that one. Just in, if you didn't hear it already, Canary Capital clients buy $245 million worth of XRP in the launch of the spot XRP ETF from Stephen McClurg's Canary Capital. Look, this is massive. It is a record-breaking moment. It shattered 900 plus other ETFs this year and becomes the largest launch of an ETF. That's what XRP is doing. So just wait until we see the rest of them come out of the horse's gates and they do the same thing. Wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I got to be honest. I can't wait to see the rest of these things be launched, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's start right here because, you know, again, this whole video here is how XRP becomes money. Well, let's start with none other than Mike Novogratz, who's talked more trash on XRP than almost anybody on the internet.
How do you turn something from being a token into money? It's a really, really complicated and difficult. So far, we've had a few that have done it. XRP has done it. And that surprised everybody, right? Because
did it surprise you?
It did. And listen, we're a big owner of XRP, the company, but the token.
It's Ripple, the company, and I think he purposely conflates the names.
Because, you know, I had all the same reasons everyone else. It was less decentralized. It was not a true blockchain. You can all the criticisms at XRP. It missed something important. They built a fierce community of people that believed in their narrative and turned it into money. And for them, it's money.
Well, it's not just money just for us, though, Mikey. You know, because it isn't enough for just the retail crowd to say that it's money. See, that's exactly what the retail crowd said for Bitcoin. So I get that's what you're thinking. And we do have a very real XRP army out here because we're not bots. We're real people. And we're actually grown-ups that understand exactly what you miss. And I believe that you know what you miss because I believe you talk your book most of the time you're on camera. But nonetheless, what you miss is what a lot of people miss in this space, is that what this world needs is a new money because the sovereign dollars of the world are exasperated and stressed, right? Overprinted, overlent, overborrowed, overcollateralized. And that leads us to how we get to a new money. Ripple has invested $4 billion plus to build prime brokerage, custody, treasury tools, and a stablecoin push to bridge crypto with Wall Street. And that's exactly who was at the recent swell event by Ripple. All of the major players of Wall Street, including BlackRock and NASDAQ, just to name a couple. Now, with that, how do you become money? Well, the way you become money is you first realize that I need as a foundation to buy a custody solution. So Ripple bought Medico for $250 million. Then they quickly turned around and bought Standard Custody and Trust Company. And then they also decided to launch their own digital stablecoin, Real USD, because they realized at one point they were doing 20% of all USDC stablecoin business themselves. Take a listen to this quick clip.
We're coming here with sort of good news, I guess, for people who have been following what you do. You could be launching your stablecoin a bit faster than most people thought.
Well, we've always been kind of consistent that we're going to do everything we can to launch this year. Everything Ripple does is in conjunction with regulatory approval, licensing, and so a key issue that we will continue to make sure we are partnered with U.S. regulators before we go live with the stablecoin. We'll first issue it, we expect, in the U.S., but we think there's opportunity for stablecoins globally. And certainly Japan, as you, I think, probably know, approved some legislation a year ago that came into effect this year. And so there's a process underway now to do stablecoins here in Japan as well.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. But when we're talking about the U.S., we're talking about a matter of weeks for this launch.
Yeah, our expectation has been to move as quickly as we can. Some people, I think, thought that might be the very end of the year. We won't know for sure until regulators say, yes, we have the green light. But we're optimistic We acquired a company called Standard Custody, which had a New York DFS trust license. And there's a process you go through to kind of transfer that and how it's going to be used. We've had a great partnership with the New York DFS, Department of Financial Services, through a BIT license we've had for many years. And we'll continue to partner with them and work through that with them before we.
There you have it. So they got Standard Custody, Medico, custody solutions on each side of the world. Then they announced they're going to launch their own digital dollar because they realized they were doing 20% of USDC's business, right? And let us not forget that USDC has Coinbase for a partnership, and they have to split around 50% of their profits with Coinbase. So that's a little fun fact. Then you have Ripple coming out and purchasing Hidden Road, which currently does $3 trillion a year in clearing and settlement as a prime broker. Nothing to sneeze at, right? Oh, it gets better, right? You want to learn how you become money? This is how you become money. Take a listen to when they bought Rail Financial, which does 10% of all global business-to-business stablecoin payments. 36 billion forecast for 2025 alone.
Rail is now joining Ripple. Rail has a lot of cross-border payment settlement. This only increases the coffers for Ripple. One note in this tweet right here is this one right there, and it's that we power 10% of all B2B stablecoin volume, and now that we've got Ripple, we're going to scale faster. So 10% significant by one company, and now all of that sitting in Ripple.
There you have it right there. And that's another big step at how you become money. Because introducing Rail Financial to process stablecoins and introducing Real USD to be a highly transparent and compliant stablecoin adds more volume to the network. And then in comes the purchase of G Treasury. G Treasury makes their official statement on becoming acquired by Ripple. Now, thousands of major businesses will have instant access to that stablecoin and other stablecoins in their treasury management solutions, as well as taking note that G Treasury settles $12.5 trillion a year in a $120 trillion market. So now we're over $15 trillion between Hidden Road and G Treasury alone. How about that? Oh, it gets better, right? And then we saw the purchase of Palisade, the wallet company, which is going to be a wallet company for all the institutions to have their own wallet solution, A to Z. They got it covered here at Ripple. And here's why. Because they're creating money. And that's why I believe we saw the announcement of the world's largest XRP treasury, Evernorth. Because we know that Evernorth plans net proceeds will primarily fund open market purchases of XRP to build the world's largest XRP institutional treasury, right? Primarily fund open market purchases, which means they're going to buy it right off of the exchanges you and I buy on every single day. Can you say Shane Ellis theory? Because I can. The checkered flag will fall when this market structure bill gets passed. I absolutely believe that, and I think he's right. Mike Novogratz is right about that, and I don't agree with a lot that he says, but he's absolutely spot on, I think, on that one. And then that would put Evernorth in a very, very interesting position, because not only do we have the market infrastructure bill at that point, the institutions on the legacy financial side, the traditional financial companies, for the first time, will be able to take a position in the assets that they believe they can use to their benefit. Hello, XRP Treasury, Evernorth. And then we find out, which we've known for years here on this channel, and many have tried to say that we were wrong, and we were not wrong. We were right. Because something isn't money unless the world agrees that it's money. And how do you get them to agree that it's money? You give them some. And that's exactly what we learned that happened. After being laughed at and attacked for years on end, we finally get the official confirmation from David Schwartz. Pre-allocated option contracts are a very real part of Ripple's business strategies. The ultimate power move the rest of the market never saw coming. For anybody who still hasn't seen it, Ripple CTO confirms company can sell the rights to the locked XRP escrow. So now the only question is, is to whom did they sell it to? And that's the fun part. The G7, G20 nations, US government, all of the above. We're still waiting to find out. But again, something isn't money unless you've agreed to give everyone some. Right? That's how you get everyone to agree that it's money. You know how else you start to see that it's going to become money? Because they don't push back on the merger and acquisition of companies like Hidden Road or G Treasury or Rail Financial. Because all of this stuff is going to be on the XRP ledger at some point. And they're not forcing you to use XRP for settlement. Now, you'll certainly be using it for gas. And out of the 15 plus trillion that we just know between G Treasury and Hidden Road at this point, that's going to be a lot of gas burnt, a lot of XRP burnt to settle all of those trillions of dollars, right? And it's only going to get bigger. And as it gets bigger, liquidity begats liquidity. So as more liquidity makes its way onto the network, the more the privileged position of XRP being looked at will actually be exercised for settlement over time. That's how this is designed to work. And that's how you take something from a coin, a token, a crypto, and it becomes money to the world because you let the world have some. That's where we're at today, ladies and gentlemen. And don't forget this little fun fact. FinCEN, the enforcement agency that sits tied next to the Treasury, also referred to XRP as a virtual currency. So now the world's catching up to the FinCEN decision from 2015. 10 years later, XRP is becoming money, just like the U.S. Treasury's FinCEN department said 10 years ago. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. We're going into the Freedom Zone. And today I'm going to play a short clip that you're going to want to see from Elon and Joe Rogan. And then inside of the Patreon, I'm going to put a separate clip of Tucker Carlson covering the same material, which I don't want to say on this channel. And I want you guys to know, if you want to see the other clip and what goes with it, you're going to need to come to the Patreon to do it. Because I can't trust what happens every couple of years to me here on YouTube. You know, they're just not fair, the way they deal with influencers, and certainly not the way they've dealt with me and my channel. So now I'm asking all of you, for a very, very small amount of money a month, less than the cost of a cup of coffee, please join us in the Patreon. It is absolutely critical to me and my family and our living that we have everybody who really loves the insights here on this channel and all the things that we've called and where we're going and where we will continue to go together, to please join us in that Patreon group. The link is underneath the video, and you can join us inside again for next to nothing. It's not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. We're going into the Freedom Zone, so come on in.